If you told me, let's say 5 years ago, that I would be using Linux on a daily basis on my main computer and manage my own home server, I would have had a hard time believing you. 2020 sure was a dark time, an unlighted age before the Steam Deck, and I still played League of Legends. Vito, please allow Linux in Vanguard? And I'm sure nothing else happens that year. Anyway, Heyo, I'm Luna, a creature who likes to nerd about games and tech on the internet. I know, I'm repeating old news when I say that the Steam Deck is an awesome device. It opens the floodgate for Linux to sneak into the mainstream at a really important moment. With Windows, you know, being Windows, like Recall and other AI stuff no one asked for, the release of the Steam Deck and therefore Valve pushing Linux compatibility couldn't have come at a better time. It gave me the push to install Linux on my PC, and I never looked back. Sure, it has some issues, but it's getting really close to it just works. Let me show you what I mean. I own a VR headset, specifically the HP Reverb G2, a Windows mixed reality headset. When I bought it, I still used Windows, so I didn't thought much about it. It was a relatively affordable option to experience virtual reality for the first time. But when I switched to Linux, the Windows mixed reality part became an issue. Back then, I believed that the G2 is pretty much the only headset that does absolutely not work. Not even a little bit. That's why I still have an external SSD with Windows installed that I can plug in when Beat Saber is calling me again. However, about a week ago, I looked around to see if things have changed. And boy, they sure have changed. I know, it doesn't sound like much, but for me it's mind-blowing to go from nothing works at all to being able to look around in VR. Okay, to be fair, looking around was promising a bit much. I could turn around and move the headset, and the camera on the output on my PC's monitor moved. The displays inside the headset, however, stayed black. Sure, not quite there yet. However, it's really exciting to see developments like this, especially in the free and open source world. With proprietary drivers, people get paid to make sure that their hardware should work on as many, mostly Windows or Mac devices, as possible. While for open source it's true that many people do this as a hobby. You can't expect anything. That's why it's really impressive for me if things do work, at least a little bit. On that note, when buying games on Steam, I don't even think about the game being compatible with Linux. I can just buy and play them. The exception being mostly competitive multiplayer titles with use anti-cheat clients like Destiny 2 or League of Legends. But I don't really play these types of games anymore. Games that I play like Minecraft, Europa Universalis 4 and many indie games just work without any issue. In some cases even better on my aging computer hardware. Furthermore, it looks like many people finally acknowledge that Linux isn't that bad anymore. If you look in the comments of many videos describing issues with Windows, you will see a fair amount of people who say that they either want or already did the switch to Linux. Even some YouTubers with millions of subscribers left Windows behind them. So, is the famous year of the Linux desktop finally upon us? Maybe not yet. You see, many professionals rely on proprietary software. Sure, many of them have alternatives, either free and open source, or proprietary software with Linux support. However, if you work for a company that does rely on, let's say, Adobe products, you can't just switch to Linux for now. When more and more people give Linux a chance, that might change, hopefully. With that being said, I would certainly say that we are experiencing the time of Linux gaming. Not quite there yet, but the foundation is constructed, and people start to notice the weird little penguin in the corner.